There is a hidden force that confronts you every day. It's not a rival, it's not the weather, it's not the economy or politics or anyone else's opinion. It's resistance. Not fear of death, but fear of movement, fear of doing what must be done, writing the page, starting the hard conversation, facing the truth you've been avoiding. Resistance is subtle. It comes cloaked in excuses, hesitation, fatigue, and distraction. It whispers, "Not yet, maybe later. You're not ready." Miyamoto Musashi and the Stoics never named it resistance, but they lived in direct confrontation with it. They understood that the hardest battle is not on the battlefield, but in the mind, and that to live fully you must treat the path itself as the opponent. Because what opposes you is your path. The difficulty is the way, and the struggle you're avoiding is the exact arena in which your strength is waiting to be forged. Musashi faced resistance by moving through it, not around it. Musashi didn't wait for perfect timing. He didn't seek ideal conditions. He acted when the moment came, and he trained so relentlessly that hesitation had no place to grow. He won over 60 duels, many against more prestigious opponents, often using unorthodox techniques or improvised weapons. He once defeated a master swordsman using an oar carved into a wooden sword while arriving late to the duel, throwing his opponent's rhythm into chaos. But Musashi's real genius wasn't just tactics, it was his refusal to freeze. You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. Musashi, in other words, there are infinite excuses not to act, infinite ways to wait, overthink, delay. But if you are committed to climbing, you will find a way. You will move forward anyway. Resistance is what keeps you standing at the base, staring upward. Musashi trained himself to walk. The Stoics called it proheresis, the inner power to choose right action. The Stoics didn't face swords, but they faced pressure, temptation, criticism, betrayal, and fear. What allowed them to stay composed was their understanding of proheresis, the faculty of moral choice, of inner direction, of free will aligned with virtue. Everything else, your body, possessions, reputation, circumstances, might lie outside your control, but how you respond never does. Epictetus wrote, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus himself can fetter my will." That will, your proheresis, is the only true battlefield. Resistance doesn't conquer your body, it conquers your mind. It keeps you on the couch, behind the screen, inside the comfort zone. But the Stoics would say you always have a choice, not between easy and hard, but between aligning with virtue or not. And when you align, the fear does not vanish, but it no longer commands you. Resistance hates simplicity, and both Musashi and the Stoics loved it. The more you think, the harder it gets. The more you negotiate with fear, the more it grows. Resistance thrives in complexity, in mental clutter, in excess options, in seeking perfection. Musashi lived with radical simplicity. He trained the same strokes over and over. He stripped life down to purpose and principle. He wrote in Dokudo, "Do not pursue the taste of good food. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Be indifferent to where you live." He removed distractions because distraction is resistance's greatest weapon. The Stoics echoed this. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. No debate, no delay. Act, move, begin." The more you simplify, the clearer the next step becomes, and the harder it is for resistance to gain ground. The first strike must come from within. Musashi entered every fight with a simple mindset. Finish it. He wasn't looking to impress. He wasn't trying to entertain. He moved straight through. From one thing, know 10,000 things. That one thing is initiative. The Stoics trained the same habit. Action first. Not talk, not theory, not worry. They practiced voluntary discomfort to train for resistance, choosing to fast, sleep on the ground, and confront adversity before it appeared. Seneca challenged himself and others. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Resistance lives in imagination. It convinces you the task is too big, the failure too painful, the rejection too humiliating. But once you strike, once you move, its illusion shatters. That first moment of action is your sword entering the fight. And it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be decisive. Musashi didn't feel ready. He prepared himself until it didn't matter. Internal resistance often comes disguised as a lack of readiness. We wait until we feel strong, clear, or confident. But Musashi didn't wait. He trained so thoroughly that confidence became irrelevant. It was replaced by presence. He once said, "Perceive that which cannot be seen with the eye." In other words, don't look for signs, look within. Ready or not, the duel begins. Life doesn't wait for your comfort. The opponent doesn't care about your excuses. And the Stoics warned against dependence on emotional readiness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now, let that determine what you do, say, and think." In the face of death, would you still be waiting to feel ready? Train your soul until your next action is not a decision, but a reflection of who you are. The path is supposed to push back. That's what makes it the right one. If the path is smooth, you're probably going in circles. Real growth offers resistance. Real truth will offend you before it frees you. Real movement will make you uncomfortable before it makes you proud. Musashi didn't avoid friction. He embraced it. His opponents were not obstacles to avoid. They were the sharpening stones of his mastery. The Stoics taught the same. They believed that adversity is the gym of the soul. Epictetus taught, "Difficulties are things that show a man what he is. If it's hard, good. If it's uncomfortable, better. If it feels like you're facing an opponent, it means you're walking the right path." Because the path is the opponent, resistance will never announce itself. It doesn't scream, it doesn't strike. It whispers, "Not yet, maybe later." Take the easier path. It hides in your preferences, in fatigue, in emotional fog, in the dozens of urgent distractions that keep you from your true work, your true words, your true life. But if the path itself is the opponent, then you are not here to avoid it. You are here to meet it head-on, with the clarity of Musashi and the resolve of the Stoics. You cannot negotiate with resistance. You train, you act, you move forward, deliberately, even if slowly. In part 1, we explored how Musashi and the Stoics saw resistance not as an enemy to be feared, but as a signal of where the work must be done. Now we explore how to engage with it in daily life, how to overcome fear of truth, discomfort, change, and inaction, using their timeless principles. This is not motivation. This is mental combat. 1. Cut without hesitation. Don't negotiate with the moment. Musashi trained until hesitation was removed from his movements. In battle, a single pause could mean death. That's why he wrote, "The primary thing when you take a sword in your hands is your intention to cut the enemy, whatever the means." This is not a call to recklessness. It's a call to remove the inner negotiation that kills your momentum. Resistance thrives on overthinking, on waiting for clarity before you act. But Musashi teaches us that clarity comes after the strike. The Stoics agreed. Marcus Aurelius trained his will against the drag of comfort. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, "I am rising to do the work of a human being." Do not entertain the voice that says, "Just 5 more minutes." Do not entertain the voice that says, "You can skip today." Take up your sword, your pen, your truth, your purpose, and cut. 2. Use friction as a signal, not a stop sign. We've been conditioned to avoid friction. We want the path of least resistance. But Musashi and the Stoics knew that resistance is the compass. When something feels hard, uncomfortable, or threatening to your ego, it usually means you're close to truth. Epictetus taught, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's friction. If you want to grow, be willing to sweat, struggle, stutter, and still continue. Resistance doesn't mean you're going the wrong way. It means you're walking directly into your next breakthrough. In daily life, that difficult conversation you've been avoiding, that project you keep putting off, that habit you've been meaning to fix, that's your opponent. That's the path. Move toward it. 3. Reframe resistance as a training partner. Musashi didn't fight to destroy his enemies. He fought to refine himself. Every duel, every challenge, every moment of pressure was an opportunity to sharpen his sword and his mind. If you wish to control others, first control yourself. The Stoics didn't avoid difficulty either. They believed in turning every obstacle into training. Seneca wrote, Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. What if you started seeing resistance not as a wall, but as a sparring partner? Procrastination becomes a signal to refine focus. Fear becomes a signal to lean in and build courage. Discomfort becomes a signal to practice endurance. You don't avoid it, you don't hate it, you train with it. 4. Anchor to prohairesis, the inner command center. Prohairesis is the Stoic concept of the inner will, your ability to choose how to respond, no matter the circumstances. You can't control your feelings, but you can control your decisions. The Stoics practiced this by rehearsing adversity daily, so that when resistance came, they already knew what to do. Musonius Rufus said, "The best thing in the world is to live according to reason." That means acting not from impulse, but from principle. When you feel resistance, pause, ask, what would the disciplined version of me do right now? Then do that, regardless of how you feel. This is training. You may not want to move, but you move anyway, because you have already decided that your inner command is more important than your emotions in the moment. 5. Create a daily resistance rehearsal. Musashi didn't just practice technique, he practiced presence, over and over until it was natural. His movements were trained in such repetition that, under pressure, they emerged effortlessly. You need the same kind of daily rehearsal, a ritual that strengthens your response to resistance. Try this simple system. Every morning, write down one action you're resisting. Label it. This is my opponent today. Every evening, reflect. Did I face it or flinch? Did I move or excuse? Then repeat. This is not for performance, it's not to impress anyone, it's to become sharp. Marcus Aurelius kept his journal for this exact reason, not for legacy, for training, a warrior of the mind, returning each day to the battlefield of the soul. 6. Embrace the moment of impact, then reset quickly. Resistance never disappears for good. You defeat it daily, sometimes hourly. Musashi fought not one great battle, but many small ones, with discipline as his only constant companion. What matters is not avoiding resistance forever. What matters is, you strike it, you fail, you reset without drama. Marcus said it best, when jarred unavoidably by circumstance, revert at once to yourself, and don't lose the rhythm more than you must. You will get thrown off, you will stumble. But how long do you stay down? The Stoic warrior returns to center quickly. He doesn't linger in regret or frustration. He realigns and re-engages. That's mastery. Conclusion, walk the hard path because it's yours. Resistance is not random, it is custom built for your growth. It shows up exactly where you're afraid, exactly where you're weak, exactly where you doubt yourself. It shows up because that's where your next evolution lives. Musashi never asked for ease. He asked for clarity. The Stoics never prayed for comfort. They trained for challenge. And you were not made to avoid the path, you were made to face it. Not because it's easy, not because you're certain, but because you've decided to walk forward anyway. That's Stoic resolve, that's samurai grit. That's how you win, not once, but every single day. Because when the path pushes back, you push harder and you rise.